Hello, this is Miguel, and I am broadcasting again, doing a little bit more practice of my speech function, and I just figured I'd tell you a little about what's going on with me today. So today is the 26th of December 2020, and Christmas was yesterday. I had a wonderful Christmas, really enjoyable, and I am currently walking around the neighborhood, and you know, one of the gifts that I got for Christmas was this hat that I'm wearing now. It is a very warm hat. I think it's made of wool. And thank you very much to my girlfriend Emily for gifting this to me. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. It's definitely keeping me warm. In fact, my head is quite warm right now. So, got a nice warm noggin, which I appreciate. In fact, it's particularly nice during these mild winter nights here in Santa Barbara. I'm just thinking about how I remember the local news broadcasts talking about snow in the northeast United States, and I'm just so glad that the weather's so nice over here. Of course, we haven't got any rain yet, and I don't necessarily expect a lot of rain this year. And in fact, it's very possible that we could have a very dry year. I wouldn't be surprised. I know the climate is all messed up these days. And although I also acknowledge that California is famous for having very long droughts and having frequent droughts, but I don't know how wet it's going to be. Speaking of wetness and humidity, my mother recently bought a humidifier. She lives in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and that was a really wise purchase, I think, because humidifiers, well, first of all, when you're at altitude, like 5,000 feet, it gets awful dry up there. The air does not hold a lot of moisture, and particularly when it's as cold as it is. I think in Santa Fe they got some snow falling on the city in the last few weeks, and so it's cold and high elevation, and so it can get awful dry up there, and you can end up with lots of chapped lips and chapped noses and chapped skin on your hands. And so a humidifier is really a great way to add a little bit of extra comfort to your day. I like to see humidity levels, around between say 30 and 50%. And if I could get a nice 50% humidity during the day, usually my skin and eyes are doing pretty well. And that's certainly good news in the era of the coronavirus, because one thing that our scientists are finding out is that coronavirus doesn't travel very well in humid environments. So another benefit of having humidity. Let's see what else is going on. Let's see what's going on. Well, today I worked out at the gym. I did an arm workout, and today's Saturday. Typically the weekends I have free, but I don't exercise on the weekends. But I'm gonna make an exception for this weekend. I didn't get in all 5 of my workouts this week because of Christmas Eve and Christmas. I was distracted by activities, and of course the gym was closed all day on Christmas Day, so I'm going to take this weekend. I'm going to do some workouts. So I did a nice arm blast workout today, and tomorrow I'll do some shoulder exercises. Looking forward to that. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos about weightlifters and the techniques that they're using, and I've got this idea about how I'm going to start working on my my medial deltoids as I work on my do some arm exercises tomorrow, so I've got some good ideas that I'm going to bring to the gym tomorrow from the professionals that I've been watching on YouTube. By the way, I just wanted to, it is of course Christmas, and a lot of people have gotten Christmas presents, particularly electronics. Personal consumer electronics are a big deal. And last time I went to the recycle bin to recycle some of our trash, I noticed some packagings for electronics, namely a giant 65-inch television set, cardboard box. Someone's really enjoying their time indoors during the virus, and certainly that's awesome news. But I was just, now of course I don't own a television. I haven't owned a television for years. It's probably been easily over 10 years since I've owned a television set. And maybe even 10 and a half years, I think. And I have no desire just to own a television set. Namely because I still remember what it's like to watch television. Every once in a while when I go to a hotel, I'll turn on the television set and be reminded again why I don't watch television, because it is so, television is so obnoxious. Let me tell you, for a person who hasn't watched television for 12 years or so, to sort of see television again, it's sort of nice to sample it once more, but man, if I can't watch 10 or 20 minutes of that stuff, I'll tell you, it is obnoxious in the sense that it's just loud, and the commercials are unbearable. They're just overbearing, and the content is not as interesting as say the content that I select when I watch YouTube videos using my laptop computer. So, anyway, and not only that, but I got to pay for internet anyway, and because internet these days is essentially a utility, and so what I could take advantage of, say, the YouTube videos and stuff like that, and but what's interesting is that, I don't know, I have a sense that it costs less and that I get better bang for my buck in terms of the videos that I watch. Now, typically these days I'm watching a lot of, say, music videos and weightlifting videos, diet and exercise related videos. And there might be the case that on cable television there are diet and exercise related television channels, and maybe even music channels, but I just can't dial in the specificity on these physical fitness television channels that I can on the internet channels. I just can't dial it in. And so it's just a big win-win when people don't watch television. I have a sense that the people who watch television are the people who grew up with television. The ones who, got introduced to TV in the 40s and the 50s, the 1940s, the 1950s, and then, still indulge in it just out of as a matter of habit. Because maybe many of them don't even own a computer. It was kind of interesting, and it's sad too. I actually used to know someone. I had a next door neighbor at one time, many years ago, who watched a heck of a lot of television. They were an older person, and it was rather sad. Of course, you can do the same thing by watching YouTube videos and such, but for some reason, while I appreciate the draw of a YouTube video, I just think it's more healthy, I just think it's healthier. I'm not sure why. Typically videos are only, 5-10 minutes long, and then there's a break. You can decide at the end of the break whether you want to continue or not. Anyway, I'm glad I ditched television. And I do actually also think that television is not a very good habit. And while I think that television is a great resource for learning and entertainment, which are both very important, I think the internet is probably better. But that's just my bias. Who knows? And there might even be other types of media that I'm collecting just because I'm as old as I am. I'm still a Gen Xer, and I'm sure that there are millennials and Gen Ys and Gen Zs that are really honing in on better forms of entertainment. I don't know, maybe it's the video game genre, the video game media, I'm not sure. Doubtful, because, well, I think there's a lot that a person can learn and be entertained by playing video games. I think video games also have their limitations. Anyway, speaking of video games, I've not been playing video games very much lately, even though I have the intention to play video games, which is kind of odd. In fact, this weekend would be a perfect opportunity to play some video games, but I've just been so busy doing other things, working out, and doing housework, and working at my job that I just haven't gotten around to playing video games, which I'm also okay with. Video games, while a fun pastime, I think also can be a tripping point for a lot of people. I'm glad I'm not necessarily over-focused on video games myself. Although there are times when I do have the craving to purchase a PS5. Not that I would anyway, but sometimes the urge arises and I think to myself, well, let's get a PS5. But, usually I'm glad that I overlook it. I really don't think I'd be able to put the time into any of the other video games that I want to put the time into. And it would just be a waste. Just be a waste, because I probably wouldn't even play it very much. And even if I did, here's the thing. What I like is I like taking an active role in my life and getting outside and doing things and making progress and making changes, say in like home decor or in my dress or in my physical fitness, and to sit all day and just move a joystick around, even in a virtual reality setting. I think that'd be amazing, but I don't know. The thing is, I actually like actual reality a lot better, because I get a real strong sense of accomplishment from it. And besides, I have a sense that that the things that I do in real life count, whereas the things I do online in virtual reality, I actually have a feeling that they don't count that much. Now, I'm sure in some respect they count. Certainly it depends on a person's value orientation. But I don't know. I think I'm happy the way I am. I like my emphasis on actual reality instead of virtual reality. I think it'll serve me well in the future. Speaking of the future, I was thinking today about retirement. Every once in a while I think about investments and the markets and the economy. And man, every year, now I seem to become more and more entrenched in this idea that I do not ever want to retire. I know. It's kind of funny. Maybe I'm out of the loop. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I've got poor judgment. I don't know. But let me tell you, I just do not have a desire to retire. I'll tell you why. There are a lot of reasons that I have very little desire to retire. Now, I also recognize that in time I may not even have a choice, that I might have to make a choice to retire on account of physical disability or mental disability or something like that. Or I'm forced to retire, maybe take a medical retirement. But if I don't have to, I don't think I want to. And here's the reason why. Well, first of all, when I was living in Taos, when I was living in Lompoc, I had the opportunity to look at a lot of retirees and spend some time with the retirees. And well, I admire them for a lot of things. You know, their wisdom and their experience and personality, you know, the wonderful traits that they have, and just how much I appreciate interacting with them. I also discovered or noticed that retirement was not doing them any favors. In fact, I felt that their retirement was a hindrance to them. I think it was limiting them particularly in relation to, say, the income that they were earning. You know, many of them were on fixed incomes set by Social Security or other external factors. And I also saw that their skill levels operating in the world as it relates to just even relating to other people or relating to computers or even relating to things relating to what's going on in the news. You know, some people were really savvy and they understood what was going on, but a lot of people weren't. They were disconnected. I saw a lot of disconnection from society and culture, a lot of disconnection from financial concerns, and I also noticed a lot of deterioration, mental deterioration, physical deterioration, that at least in my mind I could attribute to what I'd call just sort of a lack of keeping up with the society and culture. So anyway, now that's not to say they weren't understanding some parts of society and culture, because they were taking in lots of media, and quite often they were volunteering their time and their energy, and you know, all that is wonderful. And I commend them for all the work that they were doing in those respects, and because it's definitely needed. They're making contributions to art and through education, and through making education infrastructure improvements, but it wasn't enough. I don't think it was full. I don't think they were as engaged as they could be in their lives. I saw some people, what I guessed is dropping away somehow, being disconnected. And now, it may not actually have to do with these older folks retiring, but that's my particular opinion. I think it did have something to do with that disconnection. And you know, there's something about work which keeps us connected to society, and at least for me, I think that's a really important part of human development and human growth. And so I'm going to try to stay connected. I definitely want to wear out instead of drop out. That's for sure. And I'm also encouraged by people who I admire very much, who are also refusing to retire. For example, Dolly Parton, who I'm a fan of and have been a fan of for a long, long time. You know, Dolly Parton has a lot of projects in the fire, and she's like 75 years old. You know, I admire the fact that she's got like albums coming out, and she's performing in plays and on TV shows and in movies, and she's just continuing to strive and get things done and make contributions to her community. In fact, I overheard, I think it was reported in the news media, that Dolly Parton was being considered for an American Medal of Freedom by Barack Obama, and I think he was going to let Biden know that he thought that Dolly Parton would be a suitable recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and so, you know, I definitely concur with that. And I think part of that has to do, part of my admiration for her has to do with her just staying connected and being, you know, as productive as she is in her later years. And the one thing that I can see in Dolly Parton is that she is super resilient. And I think that resilience is as a result of just her working all the time. And of course, if anyone doesn't have to work, it's Dolly Parton. If, you know, Dolly Parton could definitely stay at home all day long, or who knows what, if she wanted to disconnect from the entertainment industry, she, if anyone in the world could do it, she could do it. And I think the fact that she hasn't says a lot about her, and I admire her, and I want to be just like Dolly. Talk to you later.